That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
Says the guy, have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who's never got laid.
People are laughing at him, they've taken him like seriously. I just think he's a joke, and I think Christianity is a joke because it's represented by these guys. So he's a viral sensation, well known, well liked, but the fact that he's embraced Islam, I think, is quite a major step, and everyone's reacting to it. A beautiful decision. I think it's a continuation of a phenomena which we've seen, Roshan, and even reported on, that amid the genocide, there's been a massive increase in conversions to Islam across the West. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to another episode of Muslims Uncensored with me, Robert Carter, and Roshan Saleh. Now, we've got a lot to discuss today, but first and foremost, Roshan has become a victim of a horrific attack.
Eternal victim.
With no evidence, no one's seen anything, but Roshan has alleged
Trust me, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Roshan has alleged that he's the victim of a horrific incident on public transport. Believe it or not. I mean, I must admit, I wasn't that surprised. I'm surprised you actually don't get heckled more. Because I just feel like maybe, you're one of those types that just would get heckled, for your views on women's
this
rights.
is completely
Women
unprovoked.
football, for example. I've seen that tweet resurface recently.
Yeah.
Your view on women's football.
Stand by that.
So, I thought maybe that was the reason. But no, it turns out that you were actually the victim of a horrific Islamophobic attack. Allegedly.
Me and this other random Muslim woman on a tube train. It was last Wednesday, actually. It was shortly after we finished the show, recording the show. And I took a tube. I went to central London, took a tube back, or East London rather. And this smackhead basically got on the train. I would say she's like a woman in her 30s, maybe late 30s. And to me, it looked like she was either drunk or on drugs. She looked very thin, probably drug use. And she started Islamists, C-U-N-T-S.
Oh, my word.
Muslims are terrorists. Allah is this. Prophet is that. And
just randomly like
completely randomly unprovoked, shouting at the top of a voice. So obviously,
was it directed at you, or was she just like...
It was directed at this hijabi woman.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Who was sat about 3 spaces down from me. And then it was directed at me after I made it clear that I was a Muslim as well. And
so what,
basically,
you called her out? You had to go
out? Basically I got my phone out straight away. A journalist that I am. I thought, all right, this might make a bit of a social media sensation,
let's make it go viral.
So I got my phone out and I looked at her and I said, keep going, like that. And she did keep going. And she was giving me all of this Islamist stuff. And then I just said to her, look, we've done nothing to you. You should learn some manners. And she was shouting over me. And then I kind of twigged that she wasn't right in the head. It wasn't some kind of random Islamophobe going around.
Tommy Robinson supporter kind of thing.
Yeah, it wasn't a Tommy Robinson supporter. It was actually someone who I thought was mentally ill.
Okay.
And everyone else seemed to think was mentally ill as well that I talked to. So I actually put my phone away because I thought actually, if I put this out on social media, she could top herself or something like that. She's just not right in the head. So the nice guy that I am, I stopped filming. And then an Eastern European lady tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Oh, you shouldn't be filming that. That's illegal." And I said, "Well,
what
is being racist and Islamophobic illegal as well?" And then she was more worried about the fact that I was filming this Islamophobe than what the Islamophobe was saying.
It's not illegal to film in the UK. Maybe in communist Russia it was.
It's not illegal. And basically, this continued for about 5 or 6 tube stops. And it kept going, and I was biting my tongue, but at the same time fuming inside. And then eventually some guy got on, I started chatting with him, and then I started calling out everybody else, because they did this British thing where they were pretending nothing was going on. You know, a rape could be happening on a tube train and most passengers would just completely ignore it. That's what British people seem to be like. Although I must say most of them were actually ethnic minorities on the train with me. You know what London's like, loads of immigrants. And eventually this young white bloke said to me, he was a bit shamed by what I was saying, because I was loudly calling everyone out, trying to make eye contact with them. They wouldn't make eye contact with me, except this one guy. And he said, what would you like me to do? And I said, well, actually, in this case, nothing, because she's clearly out of her head. But in generally, you know, Muslims have to put up with this crap all the time. A few words of support would be nice, which to his credit, he did give. He actually tried to stop her from speaking. And I told him not to, because, you know, the more attention you gave her, the more loud she was. So yeah, it just, I got off the train and I was going to have a parting shot at her, but I didn't. I bit my lip, which is unlike me. And I got off the train and left her to it, because I just felt that she needed medical help. And I did report it to the police afterwards. I did send her picture and video to the police. I haven't made it public. People are accusing me of making the incident up. You can trust me, I'm not making it up. And I'll prove it to you if you want, and you can vouch for me. But it just got me thinking, you know, even if she was out of her head, smackhead, on drugs, whatever, it is still quite revealing that she chose Muslims to insult, right? And I just think that people are very brazen now, and brazen and overt in their racism and Islamophobia, like it was in the 1980s when I was growing up. And I think people are also willing to ignore this kind of crap. You know, they're just willing to turn a blind eye to it. And my advice would be, if you're a Muslim and someone, I mean, obviously keep safe. If someone is physically threatening, I don't encourage you to engage. But as long as you're safe, don't take this rubbish from anybody. You know, this is not the 1980s where we kept our heads down. We are citizens of this country with equal rights. And I would say to the non-Muslims that witness this kind of nonsense, you know, speak up for your Muslim, you know, compatriots, at least. You know, be brave. Don't be a coward. You know, speak up for what is right. Just like I would speak up if an innocent non-Muslim was being attacked randomly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and obviously, you know, like you said, initially it was the woman in the hijab that was originally targeted. That's something which is far too commonplace now. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it? Especially if you're dealing with someone who looks completely crazy. What do? You know, you can't argue with a crazy person. No. And in fact, you know, was it. I think Islam as well, we have teachings of, you know, taking care of people who are like mentally ill, you know, and being kind to people and stuff, smile. And
so do you think I did the right thing by not releasing the video?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you initially wasn't sure. I think you did the right thing not to release the video, and, you know, yeah, I think it's just one of those things. We at Five Pillars like to speak up, and if we see injustice, we do speak out against it. That's our style. Some people say we're a bit confrontational, but, you know, I think on this issue, we've got to stand up for ourselves, and we need that attitude. There's like, a lot of Muslims are like, kill them with kindness. So even if that was a genuine case of an Islamophobe being abusive, some Muslims might even be like, no, you should respond with kindness. Maybe. And, you know, there's a logic to it.
There's a logic to that as well.
I just think that, you know, we've got to also, you know, Muslims, it's not a pacifist religion.
One thing that I did do, though, one thing I did do that I was proud of is that I did make it clear to her and everyone in that carriage that I was a proud Muslim. Yeah, and I said many times, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
That is great.
At the top of my voice. And I said, Islam is the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I said that several times. I hope it had some kind of effect on somebody.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good response. Yeah, now I can say, I haven't even seen the footage, brothers and sisters. I'll have to watch it after the show, if it does exist. But yeah, I think that was a good response. Yeah, just use every bad thing that they throw at you as an opportunity for dawah. I've always felt that's the best way to handle it, especially when like Tommy Robinson makes up something about Islam, twist it and use it to actually convert people to Islam. People attack the Quran. They were doing Quran desecrations all over Europe, and people were using it to fundraise to build masjids in Scandinavia. Do you know what I mean? So they were spinning it and using it as an opportunity to further the cause, you know? Yeah. That's a good way to defeat these scumbags, because they're not good faith actors. You know, you can't reason with these people. So just use them. Just use their idiocy to help spread Islam even more, inshallah. That's a really good one. We do have to crack on with more topics. There's a lot going on in Syria. Obviously, it's been a year since the downfall of the bloodthirsty dictator Bashar al-Assad, and Syrians have been celebrating the occasion. There was a lot of celebrations and parties and all sorts all over the country. There were marches and everything. And the good news is we actually had someone on the ground, Haris Tagari, our dearly beloved brother. I'll see if I can bring him on the show. Assalamu alaikum, bro. Nice to see you.
Okay. Alaikum salam. It's good to be on the show again once more.
Where are you? Are you still in Syria, bro?
I am. I'm in Damascus, in one of the headquarters. It's like literally the only place that has Starlink internet available. So yeah, everywhere else is impossible to communicate. But alhamdulillah, we're here.
Fantastic. Well, I'm here with Roshan. You're on the podcast, and we're delighted to have you with us. I've seen some of your coverage from Syria. It looks like you're having a great time out there while we're stuck in London. So yeah, enjoy it. But yeah, just tell us about the mood. Obviously, it's been a year since that historic occasion. A lot has happened in that time, and Syria is, trying to rebuild itself. What's it like? How are Syrians feeling about the future and the mood right now?
Yeah, every Syrian is on the streets. Whether you're a Syrian who once supported the Assad regime, you're now waving the new flag of the new Syria. And like you said, the streets are filled and they're swelling as the days go on. And it's been 2 days since the actual anniversary, and there's still people like 24/7 celebrating. So there is this atmosphere of celebration. There are the diaspora, the Syrian diaspora that are returning. On my flight to Damascus, it was filled with Germans or, people living in Turkey. So there is an atmosphere of Eid almost. They call it Eid al-Tahrir, or Eid of the Liberation.
And Haris, it's genuine joy, right? No one's forcing these people bussing them in to go into the squares. It's genuine joy, right? That Assad has fallen. And
genuine euphoria.
Okay.
Yeah, genuine euphoria.
I know Syria has been in the headlines because of division. So there's been fighting in past months. Obviously, Israel is playing dirty games in the south. There's armed Kurdish Syrian groups in the north. Just tell me, what's the state of the state? Is it a functioning country?
Yeah. To some extent, what the government controls, it's a state. It's the infrastructure is starting to rebuild itself. Even just noticing the new police cars that they have. They're trying to clean the old image of the old regime and bring in the new regime. So you now have traffic wardens, street lamps and traffic lights, internet, electricity. But of course, in the south, you're still ravaged with Israeli airstrikes, kidnappings. In the north, you have regular bombings, suicide attacks. So Syria, if I'm honest, isn't entirely free. But from what the government has, you could say it's relatively stable, compared to literally this time last year.
Can I just jump in,
sure.
Robert? Yeah, Haris, we did a little poll on WhatsApp and Telegram a few days ago, or on the day of the anniversary. You might have seen it. And we asked Five Pillars readers and viewers, are you positive about Syria a year on? Are you negative, or do you have mixed feelings? And very few people said they were negative, but it was evenly split between positive and mixed feelings. I guess around 300 people voted in each poll. And I think the mixed feelings would be where I would be, in the sense that we're all happy that this bloodthirsty dictator that kills so many people en masse has gone. That is the one positive, without a doubt. And the fact is that Syria is freer, and there's more room for activism and not being thrown in jail or tortured for your views. On the other hand, the Israel factor, bombarding the country at will, invading and occupying parts of the country, supporting separatists in the south, inciting division, and the move from one sphere of influence, which I guess was the Iranian-Russian sphere of influence, to the Western sphere of influence. It seems to me now that Syria is effectively in the pocket of the West. So I understand the joy of the people that Assad has gone, But to me, it seems that long-term problems for Syria are being stored up because now Ahmed al-Shara is effectively in the pocket of Donald Trump and by extension, Benjamin Netanyahu. Is that a fair summing up, or do you have any comments on what I've just said?
I think I think it's a great commentary on the idea it's mixed feelings. It's not fully, people are almost worship Shara the way in which people worshipped Bashar al-Assad. But from what I've come to know, speaking with the locals from north and south, it is relatively positive. Now, you've got to remember, Ahmed al-Shara has inherited, his role as a president is probably one of the hardest, arguably in the 21st century. He's inherited a nation that has been decimated with 14 years of brutality. I mean, I barely have internet here. I had to travel like an hour just to find decent internet. The infrastructure is finished. The lack of air force. The Syria doesn't have an air force. And so while people are ready to jump and say, how could you not attack and defend the south? The entirety of the south is under Israeli control. But it's much more nuanced than that. I mean, he's very, very limited. It's almost impossible to defeat an entity such as Israel. Now, of course, the Idlib government were experiencing combat and fighting, but this was an entirely different enemy. The Assad regime was a regime in which you could literally call people in the battle. You had a cell phone, you could go around, it wasn't a problem. The Assad military didn't have the intelligence capable of striking at will. Now, of course, with Israel, it's another entirely different enemy. So I think Shara is playing the long game when it comes to foreign policy. He is playing it very safe. He wants to wait as long as possible to help rebuild his country. And I think people are... Now, of course, it is absolutely deplorable seeing him shake hands with the worst Zionists known to man. But at the end of the day, geopolitics is beyond just handshakes and smiles. And he, like I said, he has inherited a huge problem. And I like to tell people, people that say, why doesn't he attack the South? Why doesn't he attack Israel? What would you do in your situation? As we saw in 1973, 1967, without an air force, they're just sending people to the meat grinder.
Robert?
There's obviously narratives swirling around Syria. A recent one I remember is that there's some kind of genocide against Christians happening. There's a genocide against Alawites happening. There's a genocide against Druze apparently happening. There's probably a genocide against, rabbits happening. I don't know what else. Everyone's getting genocided in Syria apparently. Could you just clarify, what's going on? Is anyone, is there really... frankly speaking, is there some kind of oppression against minorities happening in any way, shape or form?
Absolutely not. Now, of course, you had isolated events of sporadic killings, which I was there for in Latakia. That was 9 months ago. Then you had another sporadic outpour of violence with the conflicts with the Druze. Now, that has subsided, but it's still ever present. But for the most part, outside of these very isolated moments, Syrians are living free. Now, there's a whole quarter in Damascus full of Christians. And I, as a Muslim, stayed at some of these hotels. And they would say nothing but good about Ahmed al-Shara. And it wasn't as if there was a gun behind their head saying, you have to speak. They know. And the friendship between the Christians and the Muslims here, especially in Damascus, is like none other. I mean, I spoke with a Christian owner of this hotel, and he was trashing on Christians in the West, and I wish I had the video ready for you guys to watch, but he was trashing Christians of the West for being so inconsiderate when it comes to Islam and burning the Quran and things like that. So there is a friendship between the Muslims and the Christians, and every single Christian hotel, or even I've seen a Syrian flag on a church. So Syrians are all for Ahmed al-Shara, whether they're Christian, whether they are Muslim. Now, when it comes to the Alawites, I haven't really had much encounters with them because they are a minority group. I think they're less than 5%, if that, and they're all located in the coastal region. So I can't comment on their views of Ahmed al-Shara, but from what I've seen of the Christians, they love this guy. They love him to bits.
That's interesting. So is there anything else you want to ask?
No, how do you see the long-term future? I mean, if you were to ask me, someone who hasn't been to Syria for 15 years, so probably not qualified to comment, but it does seem to me that they've got themselves in a bit of a bind here, been a bit checkmated regionally. And I do think that the current situation, this is not a defense of Bashar al-Assad, but I think the current situation is better for Israel and the West than it was a few years ago. But at the same time, it's just completely mixed. I'm happy for the Syrian people that they can live free. But I do feel as though the West and Israel have kind of checkmated Syria, taken a country and an army that would oppose Israel out of the equation. And I'm just fearful that long-term Syria is going to be completely, kind of in debt to the West in every single way.
Do you think that, Haris, Syria is going to go down the normalization route? I think Ahmed al-Shara has rubbished those claims, but do you think it's inevitable?
My opinion on this change is like from day to day. After hearing people on the streets and looking at the history, the way in which the Idlib government ran, those guys are smart. I can say that. They are very pragmatic. They're very intelligent. The fact that they waited almost a decade in Idlib for this very moment of taking Damascus shows that they played the long game as opposed to just all guns blazing. So I'm very mixed opinion. I'm like with Roshan on this. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. But I have the hope that maybe Ahmed al-Shara is doing 5D chess and he is making these connections just as people like Saddam Hussein did in the 1980s. He needed support. He didn't have the military backing against Iran. So he went to the West. He hated the West. Saddam Hussein, called him the devil, the shaitan. And likewise, you could compare Ahmed al-Shara in many ways to that alliance of convenience, where Ahmed al-Shara is shopping around for supporters. He's gone to Russia. So as well as being in the bed with America and the West, he's also looking to the East. He's looking to Russia and nations like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, even Turkey. So he's shopping around for supporters. And from what I've heard on the streets, from people that know the government of Ahmed al-Shara from the Idlib times, this is a way in which he's building support, getting enough money, stabilizing the country first, and then looking to...
Oh, we lost him. We just lost you for a second there, but I think we got your gist, Haris. Yeah.
What?
Okay, Haris. Anything else to add, or you done?
I think that's all.
That was a good end to the conversation. That was a natural end to the conversation, wasn't it? All right, Haris.
It wasn't awkward at all. But no, enjoy your time out there. Who knows? I think I need to go to some of these places. Everyone's going to Afghanistan and Syria. I get Birmingham and Manchester and
I was gonna keep this to myself, but I think the audience deserves to know that I don't know where Haris is going to be from one week to the next. Like next week, he's going to be in Mongolia. The following week in New Zealand. Do you know what I mean? It's like, who knows? He's an intrepid reporter.
I don't know where I'm going to be.
All right, Haris.
Well,
I think you're going to be in the UK soon, aren't you? So inshallah, we'll see you when you get back. Safe travels, and thank you for all that you've done. All right.
Salama.
Assalamu
Alaikum.
And do check out Haris's work from all over Syria. You can catch it on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, all our social media platforms. And Robish is playing out one of his VTs now, rudely interrupting me.
Well, is there anything you want to say to summarize Syria? I mean,
obviously I didn't want to push him too hard because obviously he's in Syria, and
don't want to get him
obviously
arrested.
there's a guy with a gun to his head behind the gun. No, that's a joke. Look, I'll be honest. I think if you had a gun to my head, I'd be quite negative about Syria. I know that Dilly isn't, and you're somewhere in the middle, and so is Haris, but I just think that for all Assad's faults, we have a situation now where Syria is completely in the pocket of the West. And I think to say some people are comparing Ahmed al-Shara to Salah ad-Din, working with the Fatimids and then, dominating the Fatimids, overthrowing them, and then liberating Al-Quds. I mean, this is just wishful thinking and pie in the sky. You cannot compare Ahmed al-Shara, who's completely unproven, to historical greats like Salahuddin. And the idea that you can play 4D chess against someone, or nations 100 times more powerful than you, again, I think is a very naive statement. Yeah. I think the reality is that what you see is what you get. And that is Ahmed al-Shara shaking hands with Donald Trump on the road to normalization with Syria, with Israel rather. It might not be this year or next year, but it looks like it's going to happen at some point. And that's the reality. And that makes me sad. But I can't deny the scenes of joy. And anyone supporting Assad at this stage, we know they still exist, the people in the resistance axis, they have to ask themselves, why are so many people delirious with joy that he's gone?
Yeah, I know.
He didn't run the country properly. He ran a police state. He ran a minority government against the wishes of the majority, and he slaughtered hundreds of thousands of his own people and made millions refugees. That is his legacy. And if you're still shouting for him, then you're a monster.
Yeah, so we're just kind of seeing where Syria's going to go. Obviously, there is a lot of concern over where they're going politically. And I think there's two things here. So when talking about Syria, you can talk about the people of Syria as we are talking about them. And then also you can talk about Syria, like the state, the government, where they're going. And I think you can criticize one without being against the other. And, the Syrian people do need that respite from war, I think. And the region is in such a bad state that I just kind of feel like we're at a stage now where I just don't believe there is any leader or political force that's going to liberate Palestine and free all the Muslim countries and oust the West. We're not in that state.
Not no.
It's like when the first crusade arrived, it's like that crusade should have never have got that far, but it did. And then there was just 100 years of humiliation and defeat until things turned around by the grace of Allah. And I just feel like maybe the only solution right now is just to pray, perfect ourselves, work on our religion and work on dawah and just converting people to Islam. Because we're in an era where there's just little hope of practical political solution here. So I just feel like just pray for Syria and just
we need to do that you're right. We need to do that groundwork. We need to Islamize our societies.
Yeah, man.
We need to Islamize ourselves.
Yeah.
And that, I believe, will inevitably lead to political and geostrategic change on the ground.
Well, there is another story, an important one, which deserves a lot of attention. It's regarding the hunger strike activists who are currently in British jails. These are members of the Filton 24 who have gone on hunger strikes. There's now a group of 7 of them who are referred to now as prisoners for Palestine.
These are Palestine Action activists.
Yeah, so they are, in trouble with the state for that very reason, for actions that they've taken against Elbit. They still have yet to face a day in court, and there's been a lot of complaints about the treatment whilst they've been in detention. There's been a lot of the media's just not reporting on their story, and a lot of people are saying they should be on bail, so they're just sort of languishing in jail, and a lot of concern over their freedoms and their rights are being expressed. Anyway, it's now reached a point where these activists are so frustrated by this situation and the fact that it's not being resolved, they've made a series of demands to the government, such as, to be released on bail and to, other demands like access to their families. They're claiming that their family members are not being allowed to visit them enough. And as the government ignored those demands, they've now gone on hunger strike. Some of them, I think, have been hunger striking for like a month or more now. It's been dragging on. They're in critical condition, some of them, and have been hospitalized as a result of the hunger strike. And still, you have the media ignoring it. The government, David Lammy outrageously said he's not even heard of the bloody story when he was confronted by family members, which I find very hard to believe. And so does Jeremy Corbyn. I'll see if I can bring up that interview now. So several politicians, including Jeremy Corbyn, have now visited some activists at Bronzefield Prison, where a few of them are being held. And maybe I'll play out what Corbyn said and we can react to it.
But what impressed me more than anything is the principles the determination to try and do something to stop the disgusting sale of arms to Israel, the manufacture of weapons in Britain which have been used to help Israel achieve the genocide it has in Gaza. And I have a lot of respect for them. And they're taking hunger strike action in order to draw attention to the fact that they are remand prisoners. They're not guilty of anything. They haven't been convicted of anything. They're remand prisoners. Yet the trial date is now set for January 2027. That is 14 months on from now. But there's something quite odd and interesting about this. A number of prisoners taking hunger strike action in this prison gets hardly any coverage on the mainstream media in this country. Now, what's happened to the principle of fearless investigative reporting by the British media? Why can't they report this case? Why can't they make a comment about the unusual nature of being held all this time on remand with apparently little prospect that will be released ahead of the trial date, which, as I said, is 14 months away? What's happened to our media?
So there you have it. Some harsh words from Jeremy Corbyn, who's promised to take this issue to the government. He's saying that they have asked for a meeting, which they have basically been ignored so far, but he's going to keep pushing it. Zara Sultana was there the day before. Modin Ali from the Green Party has also visited these guys. So there is a growing campaign to speak up for these activists now. And again, it's a continuation of the outrage and scandal around the prescription of Palestine Action, which ultimately is a direct action group, which doesn't, a lot of people are saying, how can you classify direct actionists as terrorists? That's the question that's being asked by so many people. So an important story. A number of Muslims are involved. I don't think on this occasion it matters.
6 out of 7 or something?
No, I don't think so. I think maybe 3 to 4 of the 7 are maybe Muslims. Yeah. There's been complaints about them trying to practice Islam in prison, and they've been disturbed by officers. These are claims rubbished by Bronzefield. We did challenge
even desecrating the Quran, I think, was alleged.
Modin Ali alleged that. He said he spoke to one of the prisoners about this, and they claimed a series of things. They were being disturbed. It was a sister, and they were saying that while she was trying to pray, male officers would enter the cell and would desecrate the prayer mat or whatever. Bronzefield has rubbished these claims, just to be clear, but Modin said as well that he went there and he actually broke down in tears in a separate interview because of the state of one of these hunger strikers. He said she was like a skeleton, skin and bones, and he couldn't believe that it had been allowed to escalate. People are comparing it to Bobby Sands. They're saying that if this carries on, that we're going to have another Bobby Sands situation again, a very famous Irish activist.
So they're still on hunger strike as we speak?
They're still on hunger strike. And I mean, I think we know from our experience, these types of pro-Palestine activists are prepared to die for the cause. They don't want to harm anyone. A lot of them are pacifists. That's why they take these direct action stands. But they would potentially be prepared to die. They'd certainly be willing to go to jail for it. That's my experience. So many of these activists are prepared to do whatever it takes to champion this issue. So I think the government's put itself in an awful position here where it's basically one of the most oppressive regimes on the planet today, where it's just prescribing groups and putting people in jail for tweets and ignoring hunger strikers. I mean, it's like they say they're worried there's going to be another Bobby Sands, that some of these prisoners are going to die in jail.
I mean, it's incredible that...
And then the government might be bothered to react to it.
I mean, it's incredible that... I think many people would consider these people shouldn't be in jail or even prosecuted in the first place because they're just trying to stop a genocide.
Many are saying that.
In the eyes of probably millions of people in this country, they're heroes. But if you're going to prosecute them for criminal damage, then, at least release them on bail. You can't keep them locked up for 14 months or more awaiting trial. I mean, what if they're found innocent? How are they going to get that time back?
Exactly. It's insane. It's insane.
And the lack of media coverage, I must admit that I've not seen any coverage of this on mainstream media. Perhaps there's been a little bit, but I've not seen it. But also I think amongst Muslims, we need to be highlighting the story a lot more.
Well, there's another story which has gone viral. It's a well-known pro-Palestine voice, Robert Martin. He has tweeted amid rumor of his conversion to Islam, clarifying that he has indeed, alhamdulillah, subhanallah,
Allahu Akbar,
MashaAllah, has indeed embraced the religion of Islam, the truth, and inshallah we wish and pray for his success in this. A well-known, well-established pro-Palestine voice, someone who's been there, has seen the crimes being committed by the Palestinians, has even been brave enough to confront some of the Israeli soldiers whilst they're engaging in their oppressive acts and call them out for their monstrous behavior. So he's a viral sensation, well-known, well-liked, but the fact that he's embraced Islam, I think, is quite a major step, and everyone's reacting to it. Beautiful decision. I think it's a continuation of a phenomena which we've seen, Roshan, and even reported on, that amid the genocide, there's been a massive increase in conversions to Islam across the West. You know, people have seen what's happening in Palestine. People are witnessing this. It's the most well-documented genocide in human history. And people are wondering, like, how are the Palestinians able to carry on? What's giving them strength? You know, if I was in that situation, I'd be on the floor, like, surrendering. What is it about the Palestinian resistance that carries on despite these horrific crimes that are unimaginable being inflicted on them and their loved ones? And people find, well, it's their religion, it's Islam. You know, Allah is with them, and that for the Palestinians is enough. You know, it's enough to keep them going for now. And that's what's getting people to read the Quran. That's what's getting people to learn more about Islam, to see behind the lies and the hate. And yeah, it's undeniable. People are embracing Islam because of Palestine.
Yeah, so Robert Martin, you're probably familiar with him from social media videos, TikTok and Instagram, and his visits to Palestine. I think 2014, 2018, he went to occupied areas in the West Bank, I think, and he just exposed how a system of apartheid and racism operates there, and challenging Israeli soldiers, as we see. And I think he may have even gone on the flotilla this year. But as far as I knew, he wasn't a religious person. I find that interesting, because I think the jump from Christianity, being a Christian, to Muslim, I don't think is a massive jump, because you already believe in God and you're already religious, and you're just discovering a better version of what you've already got. But the jump from being not religious at all, potentially atheists, to Muslim, I think is a bigger jump. So I'm even more impressed by people who make that jump. And I think it has been the example of the Palestinians, the shining example of the Palestinians, that has pushed him over into that wondrous step.
Yeah, that's why I think we have to remember that Dawah and Islam, the religion itself, it's an important tool, even a weapon which we can use against our enemies, because, you know, there's a lot of emphasis on political action, protest action, and I've said this before, they are important, they have their place, but as Muslims, Dawah and Islam is incredibly powerful, and it's the truth. And it's morally superior to many of the other ideologies that exist on the planet, and it's a way of fixing the world's problems, you know, including immoral foreign policy, including like the evils of Zionism and stuff like that, and evils that exist in the West. Islam is the cure to all of that sickness and wickedness, and it's something we have to remember. It's something we have to be proud of, and something we have to push as well. You know, I mean, the reason that people take direct action is because protest action isn't working, because, you know, writing letters to MPs, I mean, that's been tried and tested for years without any success. And so they're taking direct action. Well, we've got action to take as well. And that is converting people to Islam. And so many of them then go on and become pro-Palestine activists once they convert to Islam.
You put up that picture briefly of him holding up a QADIYYANI version of the Quran. I think it's just, obviously, I don't blame him for this, because he's probably just been handed that Quran, doesn't really know. That was produced by the Ahmadiyya, right? Is that correct?
I've been told this. Yeah, one of the authors of the commentary on the Quran is an Ahmadi, which you've got to be careful about, obviously. It's early days, isn't it? And you don't want to be harsh on a convert or be negative.
No, it's not his fault at all. But he just has to be aware that, you know, kind of non-Muslim groups, deformist groups may try to kind of influence him, and he needs to stay on the mainstream path, on that manhaj, not on any kind of extreme deformist or should I say it? I definitely should say it. Non-Muslim version of Islam.
Yeah, I think the Ahmadiyya are like a UK state-recognised religious group, and they have a strong relationship to the British state. I think Robert Martin is an intelligent enough guy to realise that a group like that is not, proper in any way, shape, or form. So
maybe we can approach him privately and send him a true copy of the Quran.
Yeah, we've got a really good copy. There's an IERA translation of the Quran, which is really good. I'll put the picture up here for a reference. That's a copy which I'd happily send to Rob at any time. So from one Rob to another Rob, alhamdulillah, welcome to Islam, bro. It's such great news to hear about you embracing this beautiful religion. There's a long journey ahead. Obviously, it might be a bit overwhelming at times, but I'm confident that you have resources around you to help you. I'm sure there'll be many people swarming you right now, proper brothers and sisters who want to help you and to help introduce you to everything that is Islamic and wholesome and moral. And brilliant. We have someone here who I think is genuine, a good faith actor, and someone who's been very impressive for Palestine for a long time. So welcome to the fold, and inshallah I wish you all the success, and I'll be praying for you and your family, inshallah, to have good things in the future.
And stay away from the QADIYYANIS.
Yeah, exactly. We have another story here. We've spoken about this before, but I think we'll revisit it because it's becoming a big phenomena in itself. This is footage of non-Muslims. These are non-Muslim, like vloggers, YouTubers, perhaps. I don't recognize them myself, but I'm sure they have a little audience and a following. They have visited Medina, and they have clarified in the video that they're non-Muslim. They wouldn't have been allowed to visit in the past, but they are benefiting from the fact that Saudi Arabia is opening its doors to foreigners, to tourists, to non-Muslims to go places where they wouldn't have been able to before. Let's play out the video and then we'll react to it together and just maybe see where this takes us.
Okay, so we are here in Saudi Arabia. We are in the second most holy city in the whole of Islam, which is Medina. We are extremely lucky because until only a few years ago, non-Muslims were not allowed to enter the city at all. But now they've recently changed the rules to say that non-Muslims are allowed to enter the city.
However, we aren't able to go any further than this. This is because behind me is the Prophet's Mosque, which is where Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was buried to rest. We feel really, really blessed to be here. This is some people's absolute dream to be here.
This is some people's lifelong dream to be here, so we feel so honoured that we are able to be here and witness the energy of this place.
Yeah, it is absolutely mind-blowing. We're kind of speechless while we're here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So, a respectful video. They're happy to be there, whatever, and they're dressed appropriately and all sorts. But it's becoming very regular now that non-Muslims are basically going incredibly close to what is a very important site in Islam. And I think the criticism is not against these two individuals who seem decent and normal, but just the idea, like, where is this going? What are we leading up to? It's respectable now. People are being kind and nice. But what about when dodgy people start showing up? What about when people start coming with the intention to desecrate the site for clicks and views? They're going to be allowed to go right up close to it, and then what are they going to do? Run inside and do something dodgy? We've already had some freaking Israelis show up. Some freaking Israelis, dude. And I mean, there's some guy going around saying he's the chief rabbi of Saudi Arabia and that he's allowed to go to Medina and everyone's nice to him. It's like, who the hell is that guy? And why is he allowed to go near my holy sites? Do you know what I mean? So where do you stand on this, Roshan? We've discussed it before.
Generally, I'm with you. I think that
I think some people probably think I'm being a bit harsh.
I mean, I think it's always important to start with the Islamic position on this. And the fact is that non-Muslims are not allowed to enter Makkah because it's written in the Quran. There's an explicit prohibition in the Quran. Medina is more of a difference of opinion. There is an opinion that non-Muslims are allowed to go there for a limited period of time. On business, etc., to visit for a limited period of time. But traditionally, they have been banned from Medina as well. For that's just been the tradition. That is something I would support, and I think the people that would support this would say that this is a form of dawah, and those two people in particular. I mean, I pray that they do embrace Islam, but that doesn't detract from the bigger picture here. And that the bigger picture is there could be a slippery slope here, and we can't divorce this from the context, and that is Mohammed bin Salman's slide towards the westernization of the kingdom, you know, with sports events, with music concerts, with semi-naked women parading around swimming pools in bikinis, and the general slide away from religious conservatism that the land of the two holy mosques has been taken under the leadership of Mohammed bin Salman. So on the face of it, I could understand a limited amount of non-Muslims being allowed in for dawah purposes under strictly controlled circumstances. But if I was given the choice between that and banning them from Makkah and Medina altogether, I would go with the ban, simply because these are you can't mess around with the Haramain. You know, these are the two holiest sites in Islam, and you shouldn't go anywhere near them being desecrated or being treated as a tourist attraction, etc. It's just too holy to do that. And ultimately, there are other ways that we can get people into it. We don't have an issue converting people. We do it in the millions anyway. So we don't have to compromise on our red lines in order to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, there's not much to see in Qatar, for example, you know, in that sense.
Well,
it's a small country with, you know, a lot of new builds. It's not like a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of sand that's been there for a long time. Do you know what I mean? But still, like, when people went there for the World Cup, that became an amazing dawah opportunity, and people were embracing Islam. And like, the football has nothing to do like with Islam per se, but they just used it because they're in Qatar. They just used it, you know, as an opportunity. So you can visit Saudi Arabia as a non-Muslim, and they can create other scenarios.
Go anywhere.
Go anywhere. In Riyadh, they could do initiatives for dawah, but you don't have to like open up Mecca and Medina, you know, in that way. I just
keep non-Muslims out.
Yeah,
absolutely. Man. And if people watching this calling me a hypocrite, if the Vatican banned Muslims from going in there, I'd say fair enough. It's your holy site. If you feel that non-Christians are desecrating it, then fine, ban us all. So I am consistent, but I know you won't ban us because you actually don't believe in your religion strongly enough to ban us.
You're just asking for it there, aren't you?
No, but they don't. Christians, they don't love Jesus like they should love Jesus. They don't love God like they should love God. And they don't consider their holy sites holy enough not to desecrate them or let other people desecrate them. That's the reality. Whereas we love Allah, we love our Prophet, we love our holy sites, and that's why we impose these red lines. Maybe you should do the same. People will take your religion a bit more seriously. Yeah, we actually believe in Tawheed, you know, we actually believe in that concept properly, you know, they don't. But anyway, that's another story of interest. Please tell me what you think in the comment section below, brothers and sisters. Maybe we're being harsh. I don't know. Ban or not to ban? Do you want to see Roshan banned from Rome? I'm team ban. So is Robert. This is another one which we should react to. So, have you heard of Nick Fuentes, Roshan? Yeah, of course I have. You know I have, because we were talking about it just before the show. Okay. But a nice little bit of acting there, Robert. I thought I'd expose you. I thought that'd be an interesting way to introduce. Have you heard of Nick Fuentes? So, yeah, well, you are a bit of a boomer. I think he calls you a boomer. I'm not even sure what a boomer is exactly. Is a boomer like someone over 45 or something like that? Or maybe something like that. So you're a boomer. Yeah, definitely, yeah. You're a boomer. I'm not. He calls his supporters groypers. I'm not. What does that mean? A groyper. A groper. That sounds like groping. Yeah, I don't know. That's a dodgy. Yeah, he calls his people groypers for some reason. I don't get it. He's like late 20s, right? Yeah, I think he's approaching 30, something like that. He looks like 15, doesn't he? Yeah, babyface Nick Fuentes. But anyway, he's become a viral sensation. It's been building up for a number of years. I think after what was that guy's name now? Charlie Kirk. When he got killed, Nick Fuentes has kind of come in and taken a lot of his support and has become the new kind of face of the Christian right wing in America. But Nick Fuentes is, I mean, he takes the free speech thing to the absolute limit. I mean, he said insanely racist and crazy things. He's anti-Israel and anti-Jew, basically. He's anti-everything, man. Anti-Muslim as well. He's getting support, I think, from some circles because he's calling out Israel first. He's condemning Israel. He's condemning Jewish supremacy and all that stuff. But then
he also hates Muslims. He hates Islam. He hates immigration. He wants mass deportations. He thinks Hitler's cool. He thinks all black people should be in jail, kind of thing. He's
racist as well.
He doesn't. Yeah. It's all documented.
He just wants a white America.
He wants a white America.
So basically, KKK. Basically.
Yeah. He doesn't believe in interracial marriages, even though he's the product of interracial marriage.
Fuentes, that's Spanish,
Mexican.
right?
Yeah, he's got Mexican heritage in there. So he's the product of
deport himself.
He's the product of immigration, but he hates immigration. That's the crazy thing. He appeared on Piers Morgan amid his sort of rise to fame. He's now appeared on Piers Morgan, and everyone's reacting to the interview. So I thought we could play a clip out, and then we'll give our take.
All right, fine.
So I think people would like to hear it.
I've not seen this yet, apart from one snippet.
This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
You're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
This is where you talk about...
So that's just a taste of what he represents. And it gets worse. That was quite a mild clip, to be honest with you, of what he said over the years. You know, I mean, a lot of people are reacting to this. He has his supporters. He has a lot of critics as well, of course. He represents some outrageous positions. It's really because of the Palestine thing. He's condemned the genocide. He's condemning Israel. That's the only reason anyone's really taking anything he says seriously right now. But I think the thing I wanted to say is that as a white guy watching this guy, someone who, again, may have been susceptible to some of his opinions before I was a Muslim, when I was a young, impressionable kid who didn't know any better, alhamdulillah, I found Islam, man. Alhamdulillah, this guy is a face of Christianity in the West. He's a major Christian nationalist. He has a big Christian audience. If that's Christianity, thank God I was guided away from it. I mean, what a sick, twisted thing that Christianity has become. I mean, it's insane where nationalism has dragged Christianity. Because back in the day, Christians, they didn't believe in hard borders. They believed in Christendom, which is basically the Christian caliphate. They believed in the Christian community globally. It was a globalist religion, like any major religion should be. It's a globalist thing. And now it's like, oh, I hate my neighbor. Oh, I hate this guy because he's brown. I hate this guy from Africa. It's like, dude, do you realize where Jesus and all the prophets came from? None of them came from America. You do realize that. None of them came from Europe. They're not blonde hair and blue eyes like you bloody pray to some idol that you worship in every Sunday at church. So I just think that, you know, people are laughing at him. They've taken him like seriously. I just think he's a joke, and I think Christianity is a joke because it's represented by these guys.
You know, if we were if we were cynical, we would actually support this guy. If we had no principles, because he's hating on Israel and he's hating on supporters of Israel.
The MAGA movement as well.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the Zionists have done to Muslims. They've actually funded anti-Islam campaigns because it suits their political purposes. Obviously, we haven't scraped the barrel like that because we're morally better people than the Zionists. But it is interesting. I do find it interesting and a little bit amusing as well that the pro-MAGA movement has split into these kind of anti-Israel, pro-Israel camps, and they're fighting each other. And yeah, long may it continue, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Nick Fuentes, I think that's just another warning I wanted to put out there. Because of his stance on Palestine, he's
not someone we should support. It's like Andrew Tate, isn't it? It's
yeah,
kind of like,
a little bit like that. Like you get some Muslims getting involved and thinking, okay, like he's an Islamophobe, but because he's good on Palestine, maybe there's common ground we can find with him. Yeah, I just think we've got to be careful. I mean, this guy hates Muslims as much as he hates blacks, as much as he hates Jews, as much as he hates everyone. We got to be careful about what we do here. Like you said, we can be cynical and we can, I think, just throw a bit of fuel on the division that exists within the MAGA movement and just kind of mock it and ridicule it, mock the pro-Israel side of it and work against them. But this guy is like, he's an enemy.
Can you play out the bit where he says he's never been laid?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
That's all right. For a young guy, obviously you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you? For a young guy. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm the boomer. I know I'm the boomer here, but actually, you're a 27-year-old dinosaur, aren't you? Aren't you, Nick Fuentes? All women. I am. All women are annoying. All women grow old. They all get fat. Says the guy. Have you ever had sex?
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Says the guy who's never got laid. Basically, you're just a misogynist old dinosaur, aren't you?
But I do find that interesting. That's a good one because obviously, you know, a 27-year-old who's never been laid in the West is a rarity now. But I do find that
something to be mocked as well. Yeah,
I do find that admirable because he is saving himself for a crusaderess, isn't he? I do find the fact that I'm guessing him. He's probably very rich, very famous. He could probably have you know, any woman that he wants, and they're probably throwing themselves at him. And he's chosen to remain celibate. I assume it's not because he's gay, but because he's actually saving himself for marriage, which I think that's admirable. Obviously, you know, in the West nowadays, if you're 27 and you admit you're a virgin, then people will laugh at you because we live in a depraved, promiscuous society where everyone seems to, you know, want to sleep with everyone else, one night stands, STDs and all that disgusting.
It's an interesting exchange. Yeah, it's an interesting exchange because Piers Morgan, I think he identifies as Catholic as well.
Yes, he's a religious guy.
Yeah, he claims to be a religious guy. And like attacking, because Nick Fuentes is also Catholic as well. That's his denomination. One Catholic condemning another for not, you know, having like a body count. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. That summarizes, I think, everything that's wrong with Christianity as well.
Yeah.
Is the fact that this religious presenter is like, oh, what, you've never laid with a woman before? What an idiot, you know? And it's like, your religion advises to wait for marriage. Like, what are you talking about? Do you actually have a religion? So yeah, that's it. It's an interesting exchange.
Christians, they don't obey their own rules, you know. I mean, I'm pretty sure in Christianity you're not supposed to have sex before marriage, right?
Yeah.
Or live in sin. They used to call it living in sin when I was growing up. Nowadays, that expression seems to have gone out of fashion. But Christians routinely now, like practicing Christians, will have several partners before marriage, or they'll live together before marriage. Yeah. They just don't take their own religion seriously. So how do you expect us to take your religion seriously?
Yeah, exactly. I just think that this whole exchange was a joke. You know, they're both bad representatives of their own religion, yet they keep lecturing their audiences about religious Christian values. I mean, Piers Morgan, again, there are many interviews. He lectures people about traditional values, British values, Christian values. And as you can see here, he doesn't represent or even believe in any traditional values, really. So yeah, I think, again, we've said it a few times on the show, as Muslims, we can look to Christianity as an example of what to avoid, you know? And I think that this exchange just summarized it. Christianity is just a joke, an absolute joke, not to be taken seriously.
And you say
anymore.
They're worshipping an idol, you know, those, I mean, the depictions of Jesus in churches, they're crazy, aren't they? I mean,
it's an
idol. White guy with blonde hair. I mean, look, I'm sure Jesus, we believe as Muslims that all the prophets were handsome and beautiful. But the fact is that Jesus, for his time, would have been a Palestinian Jew, right?
Yeah.
So he would have had a brown complexion and a beautiful brown complexion. Yeah. And he's depicted as a white guy with long blonde hair. I mean, it's insane. Absolute joke.
It's insane. And, you know, I mean, Christianity, the whole nationalism thing has destroyed it so much that now they actively defend and prop up a non-Christian supremacist regime, a Jewish regime, as it kills and oppresses Christians in Gaza and elsewhere in the Holy Land.
They're not even Jews. They're not, I agree with Nasura Carter. You know, it was a Rabbi Beck.
Yeah, that's
right.
He
said to us that he doesn't consider Zionists to be Jews.
Yeah.
Because it's a secular political ideology, atheistic.
Yeah.
And he doesn't consider them to be Jews, and I don't either.
Yeah, absolutely.
I take my lead from him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that was an interesting one. I think we've reached the end of the show. We've spoken about everything that we planned to discuss. Is there anything else you wanted to?
No, it's just coming up to the Christmas New Year break. So we'll probably do an end of year show at some point, talk about the biggest stories of the year. And if you want to suggest anything that we should be reacting to, brothers and sisters, over the next year.
I think for anyone who's watched to the end, our supporters, it's about time I think we reacted on the show to your comments and your views. We always kind of promise to do it and we don't get around to it. If you leave us some questions and thoughts in the comment section to this video, I promise I will bring them up in the next episode.
One thing that we should bring
we'll do
up,
a whole segment, I think.
Do you remember I asked about doing live roadshows around the country?
Yeah.
And I didn't expect anyone to respond because I didn't think they'd watch right to the end. But alhamdulillah, it proves that people did watch right to the end because we had quite a few responses and very receptive to that. So that I think is something that we'll seek to do in 2026. A few events across the land. Probably outside of London, to be honest, because we're in London all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe Birmingham, Bradford, Manchester, maybe the Northeast as well. We'll do some live shows. We'll rent out a hall, and we'll do a live studio audience. So it won't just be me and Robert nattering, but it'll be, maybe Dilly will come along as well. Maybe we can have people. Maybe we can have
Harris
local.
can jump on from the north.
Yeah, well, maybe
when
we can have
Manchester.
If he's not in Mongolia, Harris can come. Yeah, so if we maybe get a local personality to join us, maybe people from the audience can ask questions, do comments.
We've got good ideas here at Five Pillars. We just need to get on and do them, I think.
We're all talk, but no action.
Well, brothers and sisters, thanks for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Of course, it helps the channel immensely. And like I say, leave your comments, leave your questions, leave your points in the comment section below on this episode. And I promise to dedicate an entire segment in a future show over the next week or two where we'll address all of these issues and react to some of your comments as well, inshallah, make it a bit more interactive. So for now, take care. Assalamu alaikum. Ma salama.